Hi, folks, and welcome to a new live episode of Off the Rack. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
This is the last Off the Rack of 2023.
That's right.
Woo! We did it. We got another year.
We made it.
We made it. Thanks so much for everybody. All of you watching the show. You make it so much more awesome than if we didn't do the show. I don't know. Thank you very much for watching and for supporting us. We want to thank our super chatters for sponsoring today's show and every show that we do, because without you, the show, it would be harder to make.
Yeah,
honestly,
for sure.
Actually, it would be harder to make.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna jump into some of our favorite comics of the year. But before we do that, we should talk about some comics that came out this week that we think you should check out, and that we're going to recap and review for you now. Of course, as with every episode, we start with a little bit of news, then we talk about some reviews, and then we wrap up with some recommendations for comics that are coming out this week.
Heck yeah.
Before we do all that, there's some news, but let's not get into it. We have too much show to do.
Yeah.
So let's just put a pin in that for 2024 or for never, depending on, there's stuff that came out. It doesn't matter.
Wow.
It's not even comic related. It's just actor related. It's like,
okay.
Oh no. They might have to either recast or table Kang.
That's not really news. That's kind of what I assumed would happen. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Assumptions.
Assumptions.
Real.
Yep.
All
but
right.
yeah, so this week, some books came out
Yeah.
that we should talk about,
Yeah.
especially because it's a little bit of a sad state of affairs. A couple of
There's
really
a few things. Yeah. Well, hang on. Can we do a really quick like? All right. I read Luke Cage this week.
Oh yay! 2. Yeah.
It was fun. It was less fun than the first one, but I still enjoyed it.
Oh, did you?
Just wanted to point that out.
Okay. All right. That's nice.
That's kind of like, I was just like, I kind of want there to just be an ongoing Luke Cage book that isn't like,
weird.
Well, like attached to this like
something.
Yeah, like Luke Cage is getting a book because he's the mayor, not because Luke Cage should have a book. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe they just.
Yeah,
this team probably wanted Luke Cage to have a book, and they went, oh, well.
Yeah, it's Rodney Barnes, Ramon F. Box, and like it's literally it's Luke, it's Jess, Danny's in this.
Yep.
Cloak and Dagger, and like
everybody tries to get Cloak and Dagger working.
They really want to get Cloak and Dagger.
I feel like they don't. Ultimately, they just don't.
I think they just show up. They're fun.
They are fun.
I think they had a good time.
Okay,
they had a good run at some point. I mean, like I don't know about them on their own necessarily, but they're doing their thing here. But I mean, this is tied to gang war. They're dealing with Alistair Smythe. The words spider slayers are in this book for sure.
So Luke Cage is jockeying for yet another book that has Spider-Man stuff in it that's better than the main Spider-Man book.
I guess Spidey has like a panel in this.
Makes sense.
I think he's like there. Luke's like, hey, we got a bunch of stuff going on. He's like, on it.
Wow. So Spider-Man is responsible, capable, mature. All the things he's not in the main book in one panel is Luke Cage.
Yeah, no, I think. Oh, where is it? Here he is. He's just upside down.
Yeah,
and he's just like, they're breaking out every board, and he's like, I'll handle what I can, and I'll get back to you.
So yeah, I mean, right there, right in that one panel, he declares what he's going to do. He has a goal.
Yeah,
he sets out to do it, and volunteers to follow up.
Yeah, he's going to follow up.
All in one panel, all in one speech balloon. Dwarfs the entire Zeb Wells run of Spider-Man.
Okay. That said, we are doing giant robots.
Of course.
Which I was like,
why not?
Orcus is doing giant robots.
Yeah. So, they're going to bump into each other. It'd be fun if they did.
Right? So,
Wait, you mean to tell me that, like, Smythe, who has no, like, political leanings, but who makes giant Spider Slayer robots, didn't get gobbled up by Orcus?
Yeah, no. Weird, right?
Like Vulture didn't go like, oh, by the way, Orcus, if I like bring in 3 people, do I get like referrals? Like, can I get
this is like a pyramid
Orcus
scheme.
Points?
Do I make more money the more people I bring into Orcus?
Yeah, every petal you add to the flower, you get yourself your own offshoot, your own flower.
And one day you might be in full bloom.
Yeah.
And when you are, that means you're at the top.
That means you get your own pot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly that. So yeah, it was still fun. I think the first book was a little more fun, but that could just be because they were like, look at this. This is
because it wasn't steeped in gang war.
It was.
Well, it had to do a lot of like heavy lifting. It was like, here's Luke Cage, here's Jessica Jones, here's what's going on.
So it's only 4 issues, so it's like I'm 50% of the way through.
Yeah, it's half over.
Yeah, I also want to give a shout out really quickly to Darkest Dungeon #2.
Oh yeah.
That's IDW. It's not Darkest Dungeon. It's Dark Spaces Dungeon. Why? I always want to make that Darkest Dungeon because it's a game.
Okay.
Dark Spaces Dungeon. This is Scott Snyder and Hayden Sherman. This book's awesome. It's dark. It's scary. It's scary without being paranormal, which I love.
No supernatural.
There's no supernatural. It's
human
just
horror.
Yeah, and it is scary.
Cool.
I think it's scary, and I like it. Art's great. Scott's doing what Scott does. He still gets you with like scary things.
Scott's doing what he does best.
Yeah, for sure. So if you're looking for that type of thing, IDW has your fix with the Dark Spaces Dungeon. Go check it out for something a little scary by Snyder.
Yeah.
And I was incorrect. There aren't 2 books that ended. There was another book that ended this week too.
Oh, no.
Dark X-Men also wrapped up.
Okay.
Yeah, this is because we are like, I believe the week of the 24th, I think, of January is when Fall of the House of X
is over.
Fall of X,
Fall of X,
like Fall of X number whatever will come out. So yeah, you know what I mean. Like we're just tying things up here, right? So like Dark X-Men wrapped this week, and this one I was like, I liked this book. You know, like here's the thing, like I was aware of Madeline Pryor prior to this.
Prior to
I was aware of
the Duggan era
before Krakoa. Like I was Madeline Pryor aware of her.
Yes.
And for some reason her like popping into Hellions and like that first arc having that like horror vibe to it
from Zeb Wells.
I was like, yeah, cool. All right, I'm along for her ride, and I've actually just kind of followed her ride throughout Krakoa.
Yes.
So this was very satisfying for me, to watch like Maddie's ups or downs for this, to come into this being like not being resurrected, to then getting her resurrection, to being mad about stuff, to taking over Limbo and that whole thing, to Dark Web, to getting over all of it and then being here, right? And in this she's faced with an alternate version of herself, one who's like given into everything. It's just like, no, Madeline Pryor's across the universe is all of them are made to suffer. That's why you're created.
Oh, okay.
Like Jean Grey is born to lead, and you are here to suffer, and that's what it is. And like once you just get over that, and you accept your power and the fact that like screw everybody else, then you're gonna be cool. And you watch Maddie reject it.
Good.
And it's really cool. Like it's growth for this character. By the way, this is written by Steve Fox with art by Jonas Scharf. And there's a couple of things that occur in this for sure. Like Gambit has his moment where he gets to be a hero among these like darker characters,
right?
Like
he got to ascend, kind of like, or like step up.
Yeah, and like it's just like 1 or 2 panels where like he just does a couple of things and he makes sure to like help the girl from Children of the Atom. Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, is that right? Yeah, because there's another Children of the Atom book running right now, but I was yes, that is that. And we also see Azazel bitten in half.
Good.
Like he's dead for right now.
Fine.
For now. I was like, that's fine. And then Plate's like, hooray! I'm free.
That's fun.
They're in the middle of the fight. Gail was like, where are you going? And he's like, nah, I'm done. He died.
Right. I don't have to do this anymore.
My family had like a thing like where we made a deal with the devil essentially, and now he's dead.
So I don't have to do that.
I literally don't care about any of you. Goodbye.
Good.
So he leaves in the middle of this huge fight that they're in. And I love this panel.
Oh, wow.
Right? Because, like Havoc goes down. So Maddie's like having a moment. And she just rejects it. And it's great.
Cool.
It's good stuff.
Nice.
And Gambit heads back to join the X-Men along with Feint. So they're there. And Maddie keeps the embassy open to keep helping those who want her help. But I'm like,
awesome.
Cool. But she's like, but I'm still the Goblin Queen.
Right. Whatever.
That. Yeah. Don't forget that. But I was like, good for you. Like she gets, she's doing her thing and she's doing it her way. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm like, good. Yay.
Awesome.
I mean, I'm sure the next time we see her, she'll be a villain.
Oh, probably. Because,
this was fun. It was a nice little button on her story.
Yay.
Like, nice.
That's great.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Additionally, Moon Knight.
Yeah, number 30. The final issue.
Unless you think I should do X-Men.
No, I mean, you can talk about Moon Knight.
Yeah, real quick, Moon Knight came out.
Yep.
Moon Knight number 30.
Ended with Cappuccio, the original
Yes.
artist.
Yeah. They got Cappuccio back. And this was a great issue.
Wow.
This was excellent. This was incredible. Just really hits on all the notes that we've been working with for Mark since the start of McKay's run on him. Just really felt very full circle. And I don't think a lot of books have an opportunity for someone to say that about it.
No.
You know,
especially at Marvel.
Yeah, especially at Marvel. 30 issue run, I believe one of McKay's longest runs. And just really just hit all the right notes. Really, brought things that start off with, like, Moon Knight obviously being like a loner in a way, and like kind of building a family but not really, and then eventually like accepting the fact that he did need others. But in this, it's like, oh, it was Plesko the whole time. He was the new Black Spectre, and like he's like, well, I told you, like, I love to watch like people suffer, and like, that's like, why would a psychologist become a mercenary, Mark? You ever think about that? Like, so I found a new way to do it. Yay for me! And here we go. Now I've broken you, and anyway, I'm off to do my thing. And like Moon Knight is alone, attempting to stop this guy, and he's broken.
Yeah,
he can't walk. And like, as Plesko's off to go do his thing, he's just like, well, I'm gonna go play the note that's gonna make everybody crazy in New York, and they're gonna kill each other, and I'm gonna observe it. It's gonna be awesome. See you later.
Cool.
He remembers, or he's reminded that he's not alone, because he's there with Steven and the other personality, Jake. Yeah, thank you. And it's just such a great moment for them, where they're just like, dude, you have to get up, you have to do this, like that's what we're here for, you have to do this, like you got to keep moving. And they're like, and essentially it comes up, they're like, we're gonna die, and they're both like, I'm not gonna say I'm not scared, but like, this is what we do, right? And so you have to get up, and you have to keep going, and you have to stop this. Yeah. And he does, and he dies. Like, Moon Knight dies. Okay. That's it. Great. We're done. Yeah. We also get to see Zodiac, who had been consumed by the Midnight Mission, and is dealing with Reese, which is like a really great, again, like coming back and around for her, because that's how she became a vampire, was through earlier issues, including Zodiac. And so this is excellent to have them have this moment, where he's like, well, it's fine, because like, Black Spectre might kill him, but then Moon Knight will come back. Moon Knight always comes back. It's fine. And she's like, you're an idiot. She's like, he's not coming back. Right. They made that. They set that up. Yeah. She's like, he's not coming back. And he's like, what? So he like talks directly to the Midnight Mission, because the Midnight Mission is obviously a supernatural entity now. Right. And it's like, he's like, listen, like, I'm going to make a deal with you, but you got to let me go. And like, so he does. Like, the Midnight Mission does. And he goes and he takes his vengeance on Black Spectre for killing him. He does not stop. Like, nobody is able to get to him in time. But what we see though is that like the Moon Knight family, the new Moon Knight family, is taking over the Midnight Mission. Okay. And they're going to follow in his footsteps. Cool. And that's the next book. Oh, really? What's the next book called? I believe it's called Moon Knight, Vengeance of the Moon Knight. Okay. Vengeance of the Moon Knight. Which will be launching. If you did read this issue, I highly recommend, if you didn't read the letter in the back, to do so. I don't always get a chance to do that, but I read through this. It's a letter from Jed McKay, and it is lovely. Oh, cool. It is a lovely letter that you don't see a lot, something like this. And I think it just shows you, hopefully it shows a bit of a character for Jed. I don't know him at all. No. But he talks about how, like, what a fan he is of Moon Knight, and how like he can't believe he had this opportunity. But Tom Brevoort apparently like emailed him and was like, hey, we were thinking about doing a new Moon Knight book, and I remember you wanted something, like you were interested. Oh, cool. And he's like, I don't ever remember telling him that, but like Tom Brevoort's the kind of guy who can remember exactly what happened in a book of like Avengers. Yes. Like, can tell you what run they were in and what year it came out. 100%. He's like, so if he says I mentioned something about Moon Knight, I probably mentioned something about Moon Knight. Yeah. It's so sweet. And he also says this part, which I was like, this is incredible, this section here. He says, and as always, he was thanking everyone. He's like, you the readers, times are tough, and it's never an easy decision to decide which books to put your hard-earned money into, and I'm grateful that so many of you picked up ours. Yay. I was like, what an excellent acknowledgement, to understand that people have only so many like dollars that they can put towards comics.
Yeah.
And just to be thankful to those who did. And I was
That's
like, that's
true.
awesome. So
Yeah. How nice.
yeah, just this was a great ending. I will probably pick up Vengeance of the Moon Knight. Because I like McKay writing, and I know these characters.
Yeah.
Like, I know this group that I'm going to be coming into. It'll be interesting to see if it does as well as the Moon Knight book did.
I hope so.
But this is an excellent run, and I think people are going to remember this one quite a bit.
Cool.
Let me do the last one.
Why not? You have one more to go.
X-Men Red number 18 also came out this week.
And that wrapped up.
And that wrapped up X-Men Red, a book I will definitely miss for certain. This was written by Al Ewing with art by
Yildre Sonar.
Yeah, Yildre Sonar. And this is like the end of the like Genesis Storm War.
Okay.
You know, the two, like Genesis obviously having been influenced for way too long by the Annihilation staff now.
Yeah.
Being driven to conquer. We find a little bit more about how she came to have it. We find out that it's done with her.
Okay.
And like at one point makes an offer to Storm.
Sure.
Because he's like, she's only in it for herself, and I want more. And he offers, like, the Annihilation offers to Storm that they like could work together.
Right.
And obviously she doesn't take it, and does in fact win the day. Unsurprising, but of course we lose some along the way, including the Fisher King.
Yeah.
Which was like incredibly well done. He knew his end was coming, but like it's pretty rough when you see him later on, where it's like, hey, he's half a skeleton, half a man, and that he knew that this would happen. But peace is restored. The two land masses hug it out. So good for them. They get to be joined. But they know that like this is but like a respite, because they're going to have to rest and then be ready to go and take on Orcus.
Right.
But luckily they've already had a little bit of help. Because it's almost as though they were like, oh yeah, right, Phobos, we forgot about the satellite. Right, remember they set up shop out there, and there's nothing anyone could do about it. Without actively attacking people of Earth.
Right.
So they sent Genesis, they exiled her there, and she took out on her own. Cool. So we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah, you can live there.
I'm sure Genesis is not happy. I'm sure she's not pleased with Apocalypse, but I appreciate seeing Apocalypse and Storm like hanging out together like this. They have some history for sure. And alternate or not. But it's just cool to see them standing like equals.
Yeah.
Like, she's just like, he respects her. He knew what she needed to do, and he knew she was the one to get it done.
Right.
But this was a great series. I really enjoyed it, and I look forward to talking about this a little bit more when we get into our best books.
Okay, great. Well, the only other book, I did leaf through a couple of books from this past week, but I didn't get a chance to like really thoroughly read them. I did finally catch up a little bit on City of Madness, which I'm glad I didn't put it on my lists. Batman, A Death in the Family did a re-release of its original run from 35 years ago. Now, of course, if you saw, this is an iconic Mike Mignola cover, and of course, it's the classic issue that depicts the death of Jason Todd. However, you can see from the cover, it says Robin lives. This is actually a faux edition. It's a re-release, but with a slight change, because due to the nature of the contest that resulted in the death of Jason Todd, according to the description, only 72 vote difference in the margin. They needed to draw, that is to say, Jim Aparo, now passed, needed to draw this version of the book. He had to draw both versions. And though we've seen recreations or slight reprintings of some seminal panels, we've never seen a full alternate book, and here it is. So here's the book as it would have been meant, or as it is meant to be in another reality. And that's kind of fun. I was like, that's cool. So I picked it up because I was like, I gotta have this. They also did a weird like variant cover to it, and I was like, that's kind of neat. Like not a variant cover, but rather like a holographic cover.
Right.
Yeah, it was $5. I think that it'll probably be available in like many different back issues bins in the future. So if you're ever curious, you could wait. But it's a neat little piece of history. and it's a neat little piece of alternate history to see that. And I was like, that's really cool to have this, because I know it so well. Because when I was a kid, I did pick up Batman 428, not on the shelves. I was not old enough to get it on the shelf, but but I did get it in back issues. I got it in an old back issues bin because I knew it by number, and I picked it up, and it was like, I think it was like a little $10 or something like that, like a little over $10. My mom was very unhappy to get it for me, but she did. And so I knew this book backwards and forwards, so seeing the differences and knowing what they chose, what they did, and I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah,
Wow, it's just
yeah.
a cool little like piece of history that I really like. So that was really nice, and it's neat that they made it, and it's also a rarity. Like, they don't really make a lot of those,
Right.
so and there's not a lot of opportunity for them to have them. So it was just like fun to have.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't so much a review as much as it is just kind of like this neat little like view
Yeah,
into
it's
history.
a thing. Like, here's the thing that occurred.
Here's this thing that happened, and it's neat that they made it, and I appreciate that they tried it. And even though it's like you're buying essentially like an old book again, but it's a reprint, a faux or facsimile edition, so it has all the old ads and stuff like that in there, which includes like an old in-house Sandman is going to debut ad, which I didn't get a chance to show you. That's fun.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a fun little book. I was like, oh, that's cool. And I having read the alternate, like, if Jason had survived, and it's like, okay, Batman kind of has the same mentality of like, this is the end of Robin. So you would have had a very different history where, baby Batman would have like benched Robin, but obviously Jason Todd would have continued to be Robin. It's not like he would have become Red Hood then, or he would have been killed off anyway. Like, no, it would have been very boring, and I'm very glad that Robin died. I was like, I really prefer the death of Robin. It has much more of a emotional punch.
Oh,
it has
sure.
much more of a cultural impact, and it's just way better. It's just way better than Robin like almost dying. Oh, this would have been the run where he almost died. Like, oh well, what a boring world we would have lived in. Right, but yeah, that's what I read.
All right, it's also really quickly. I also read Batman and Santa #2.
Oh yay!
Silent
okay,
Night #2. It was great.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah.
Good.
You would have been pretty pleased about who shows up right at the end.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was it's good. I think you're gonna like it if you get a chance to read it.
All right, great. Yeah, this is a fun series.
It is. It's cute.
It should wrap up soon, so
I think
make sure
so.
to pick it up, folks.
It's a cute little book.
Yeah.
And the reason there's 2 artists is because they use one artist for for like
the flashbacks.
Yeah,
I love when they do that. At least then it's like a clear like delineation.
Totally.
Yeah. Jeff Parker's doing a good job with that book. So yeah, I think that's it for the new books, right?
Yeah. Again, I just wanted to mention, it's like just a little touchstone, because it's like that's not really what this is supposed to be about, but it was like we read these things.
Exactly. So before we jump into our picks, we're gonna do some super chats just to say thank you to our sponsors for today's show, like Bryce Harriet, who says, "Hi, my top are Wonder Woman, Speed Force, and Ms. Marvel. Size Flash is excellent, but not for me. I'm catching up with OG Gwenpool, Monsters, and Die."
Very nice. Good
Proof
choices.
positive, by the way, that if you are in the camp or might be like teetering on the edge of the camp who says like, oh man, I don't like anything that's coming out now, or I don't like new comics or old comics, the way that you could always just reread old books, or you catch up on books that you missed out on.
There's plenty.
M&M says, "Merry Christmas, ComicPop." You too, my friend. For me, Chris Cantwell is the standout writer of the year. Namor conquered Shores, Hellcat, and Gold Goblin were all great. Also, shout out to Percy's Ghost Rider. Yeah, man. Cantwell was very busy this year with some really great books.
Heck yeah.
AKA 480. Plus, Pattinson early on said he would be open to a larger universe. Thoughts on Matt Reeves preventing Pattinson's Batman from being in the DCU? I think it's really stupid and egotistical of him to have this much control over the best on-screen Batman. He does apparently say that Pattinson would be open to a larger universe. I mean, there's nothing that says, I mean, like, look, it's all not canon until it is, right?
Right.
The rumor had been that Matt Reeves was working on an Arkham show that was originally going to be in the Matt Reeves Batman universe, but now James Gunn has said no, the Arkham universe show is going to be produced by Reeves, and it's going to be in the new DC universe that's established by Superman Legacy, which proves to me that, like, yeah, Pattinson is right now currently an alternate reality, non-DC universe, not Superman Legacy Batman. But if Matt Reeves decides to stop making Batman movies after the next Batman movie, and Pattinson still wants to be Batman, and they still haven't made Brave and the Bold, he could always be Batman. If Matt Reeves decides he wants a bigger paycheck next year, Matt Reeves could be the director of the next DC Universe Legacy Batman. I mean, right now, Brave and the Bold is supposed to be Batman and Damian. Or not. we don't know. It could be anything, especially because they don't have a Batman cast. So, look, DC is going to do what DC needs to do in order to survive. There's rumors that Warner Brothers is teetering on the verge of bankruptcy. So, I mean, like, I would just do what works. That's like, I would have canceled the Joker movie before they even started one. It made $1 billion. And so obviously they're going to make a sequel with the most pretentious title I've seen in years. And so I could imagine that, like, even though it's confusing and weird and unnecessary, nobody asked for it except for like the legions of people who misinterpreted the Joker movie. I say go for it because, you're a studio on the verge of bankruptcy. Why not make a movie people are going to go see, apparently? Hulkzilla, thank you very much for your support. First, I want to say I want to wish the ComicPop crew all the best. Well, thank you. You too. Immortal Hulk was the last long run I ever kept up with, mostly Peter David's Joe Fix. It was a delightful miniseries. I do plan on reading PKJ's Hulk book soon. Best wishes. Well, if you enjoyed Immortal Hulk, you will like PKJ's Immortal Hulk series or whatever, because it's basically just a sequel to the Immortal Hulk series.
Nice.
Let's see here. Corey McGivney. Hey, Sal and Tiff.
Hi.
I hope the two of you are taking good care of yourselves. I love hearing you both talk about books you like. Currently dealing with COVID, trying to relax. So thanks for the stream. Well, I hope your COVID is short and uneventful. Thanks, Corey, for your support.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And
Feel
for
better.
your well wishes. Feel better, man. Cosmo, I just started reading Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, and I'm floored by how much I love it. Would really love to see some DC horror / any recommendations as a new reader to comics in general, especially the horror side. Happy holidays. Well,
if you like Swamp Thing, stay in the Vertigo area. Go pick up Hellblazer. You can start right at the beginning. Grab Delano's Run, or at least like the first volume. See if you like that. If you don't feel a connection to that, you could also just go right for the Ennis stuff.
Yes,
you can jump into that pretty easily and get a feel for it. It'll feel very familiar to some degree because you're going to get some shades of the Constantine movie. I'm calling it that because it's the American one. But you could also grab yourself some Sandman. Trust me, it may not seem like there's horror elements to it, but by the time you get to volume 2, The Doll's House, you will definitely get it.
Yeah, that's true.
Vertigo's a safe bet, though.
It's true. Yeah. Then keep
Animal
reading.
Man, even.
Animal Man. It's not horror, but it is great. It's just worth reading.
There's a little bit of body stuff.
There's a little bit about it, but it's mostly at the end of the day, it's a book about family. Lenny Laserdiscs, can't wait for another full year of ComicPop content. So many fun books came out this year. My favorite being Williams and Superman.
Very nice.
Very popular book. I'm happy to report. I'm glad that it did very well for sensibilities and for people who are hungry for more Superman. Somber Shadow 001. Hey guys, much love to y'all. Was wondering if you guys heard about Jonathan Majors being dropped from the MCU. Yes, he's officially been fired by Disney Marvel, and so either they are going to have to recast Kang or they're going to have to cut him out. If you haven't seen Loki season 2, I highly recommend it because I think it was a great show. You can watch our episode where we review it, or at least do a postmortem on the entire series. But I should say, without spoiling too heavily, there is a line in there that could easily just simply hand wave away Kang. And you could just say, oh yeah, Kang was a crappy villain in Ant-Man 3.
Yeah.
And he was a looming threat in the Loki series that ended with Loki season 2.
Yep.
And you don't need to worry about it anymore because Kang is the worst Avengers villain in terms of like the pantheon of villains with names. Villains that aren't just like one-offs or, random cosmic inconveniences. So yeah, you could just keep going, or you could bring in the High Evolutionary again because everybody loved him and he was amazing, and it was a better interpretation of the character than I've ever seen in comics or in animation. But yeah, I'm sure they'll just recast and then just try and force Kang into something, even though you have an out. And no one's on board. Like I think that as far as everybody's concerned, if they were like, oh, the new big bad is Doctor Doom, and he's introduced in the new Fantastic Four movie, I think people would be like, yay, finally. No one's like, oh man, I hope in the next, like, what's the next one? I don't remember what the next one is, but it's just like, oh man, I hope there's a post-credit scene about Kang in there. No one cares. We got enough time travel. We did a whole damn movie that ended your entire saga with time travel.
Yeah.
Lataro Medina says, hello, Sal and Tiffany. Hello. Thanks for celebrating the comics that came out this year. My favorite this year was X-Men Red and Wonder Woman.
Very good calls.
Mason Guerra loved the Superboy comic and his growth. Thoughts? I also like that series, and I thought it was a really good book. And he grows and changes, and it's a nice series that allows you to like kind of go, oh, like you want what he was in, like, he tries to approximate force a young Justice, and it just doesn't work because like you can't go home again. Good book. Logan Thomas, hi Silent Tiff. My favorite comics were World's Finest, Hulk, Superman, and Action Comics, and Brubaker's Night Fever. Most excited for Hickman's Spider-Man.
Nice.
Yeah, same here.
Nice.
Silas Loudon, you guys rock. My favorite book this year was Transformers. Thanks for everything you do. Yeah, Transformers, very popular book. I'm happy that it's working out for Skybound and their whatever Cybertron Energon universe. Good luck to them. I don't know if Transformers can reach the heights that it is at now if D-Dubs decides to end the series, but for now you will get like a book unlike any other Transformers comic you'll ever see.
Oh, I meant to mention something to
Please.
you. And for some reason, seeing the Action Comics cover made me think of this. In the Batman Santa Silent Night number 2, they reference Night Terrors.
Okay.
This is an in
continuity story
adventure with Santa. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that makes sense. I did not actually read it as being out of continuity.
I did. Santa's there. I'm like,
Listen, Santa is a Marvel Comics character too, and he's in canon too. So I'd say I don't
know. I'm like, yeah. Sure.
I love the idea. Now we can get like a Santa Batman like prequel book. Right? Why not?
Santa Year 1.
Yeah, Santa Year 1. I would buy it.
Anyway.
Nikhil Kapoor. So I definitely need to read Power Man and Iron Fist because why not? And it's kind of interesting. So I guess that's my comic book of the year. Yeah. Nice. I remember that book coming out. It was not this year, I don't think, but it was still a very distinctive series. And Cat Lawyer Adventure Treats. Hi, who are your favorite characters this year? That's a great question. I don't really have like a lot of, standout characters outside of the ones that I normally follow. Because like that's the thing is if you read comics because you follow a character, then that's going to be your answer every time.
Right. Like Doctor Strange.
Right, exactly. Right, but like Moon Knight was a surprise favorite character for you.
Surprise for me. Like I mentioned, for some reason I've been following Madeline Pryor's story lately.
So Madeline Pryor was a standout for you.
Like digging on her. I mean, I do love Storm, but she's definitely been a standout for me this year, really, and Sinister. As much as I hate him,
right?
I love to hate him.
Yeah. I mean, I can't necessarily even say that, like, Christopher Chance from Human Target was my favorite character of the year because Human Target ended this year, but it didn't start this year.
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
Like the use of Slam Bradley was amazing, but also again, that book continued this year.
I don't know how you're gonna do with what you did because are we getting into that part of this?
Yeah, we should talk about like the books of the year.
So like what I ended up doing was something I've literally never done before, which is I went back through and like you suggested. By the way, there's a way better way to sort this stuff.
Oh yeah?
It's awesome.
All right.
It's amazing. Can I do it?
Yeah, why not?
Really quickly. There's like all these options here, right?
This is using leagueofcomicgeeks.com, by the way.
Yeah. And I did a detailed view. Which I really, really liked. And then you can you
select the publisher. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I just did a few standouts.
Yeah.
Where's my IDW at?
There it is. Right under other.
Oh, thank you. Perfect.
I'm sure IDW appreciates this support. But there was actually higher.
They get a little.
Yeah, a little.
Also you can sort them. There's a way to sort them by alphabetical.
Oh, nice.
Look at that.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Cool.
Yeah, and just close that out when you're ready. But anyway, so what I ended up doing was I went through every week.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Starting from January, which I've never done.
No.
And what I ended up doing was making notes, right?
Yes.
And then what I did was I went back into my now Kindle library and I just kind of like looked at I got to look at what I read this year.
Yeah.
Because I got to tell you, by the time we get to now,
right,
you'd forget. Like everything that I read from January to June is like 3 years ago, basically. Naturally. And so I really had a chance to look at what I read this year.
Yeah.
And I didn't really do so much I didn't do such a great job of being like, this is my favorite stuff. But instead what I ended up doing was I took a look at some of my bigger books, the ones I definitely been keeping up with for quite a while.
Yeah.
And I took a look at where they started and where we ended up.
Mm-hmm.
and I made I just kind of wrote some things down for that, and then I also made a little list of things I needed to catch up on, and then I
Okay.
think I've got some final thoughts on my reading for the year, and
Nice.
like I think there's a couple of things I need to like change,
Okay.
honestly. So
Okay.
like I that's how I looked at it, but I
I love
want
it.
you to do how you want to do. Like if you are like I want to talk about best books, go for it.
Yeah, sure, sure. Yeah, no. I mean, like there were the thing that I like one of my takeaways this year was that it was a like overall I had been saying that it was a pretty unremarkable year. But I don't know if that's true because of the books that had dropped that either I like neglected to like remark
Yeah,
or the ones that I just simply didn't read.
fair.
Like there were some things I never thought we'd see, like Wolverine versus Predator.
Yeah,
But of course, like as I've said numerous times, like the book is a mixed bag. When it's great, when it's good, it's great, and
mm-hmm.
and there was that, and then Greg Landry, one of the issues, and it's like, okay,
Yeah,
that's going to be a blemish, but like overall, it's delivering on what you want, which is a rarity at Marvel now.
mm-hmm.
Like where they're like, here's a book that you want
Yeah,
that isn't an X office book. And even
right.
then, Marvel's going to marvel because they're like, all right, now that's over. And we're going to give it to a completely different creative team
Yeah,
with a completely different overseer. And it's going to completely disrupt things and confuse the shit out of the like thousands of new fans we made as a result
yeah.
of the Hickman era.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Well,
That's
I
Marvel.
wrote down like it's not all of them because we're
Yeah.
also doing a few things like other things, but I was like, oh, like there were like like some like eventy style
Oh,
things,
sure. Yeah.
that happened. Like night terrors occurred and
Yeah, Night
like
Terrors. Like looking back at Night Terrors, it is certainly not one of my favorite things of the year.
yeah,
I think that it was an admirable effort, and I think that like really what's frustrating is like the standout for that series was the covers for the
hmm
tie-ins. The tie-in covers were just on another level at
yeah,
DC. DC's cover game overall has actually been really much improved in 2023,
right,
which I was like, that's really remarkable. Like, good on you, DC, for like really stepping up your cover game. I don't know if that's just the nature of the like of the time.
hmm
Like we have a particular bullpen of artists, and they're really giving their A game on the covers. But
yeah,
like across books, I didn't even read. I was like, they're really spectacular
yeah.
visuals.
What I thought was interesting was that because they were tie-ins
Hmm.
for it, like some people didn't pick up the Night Terrors tie-ins, some people did. I don't know. It was a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I remember people actively complaining about Sins of Sinister,
Yes.
but I
Well,
was
people
like,
complain about it only like in as much as they were mad it existed.
yeah, but some people I feel like they were like, this like where do I go? Like there's too many, and I'm like, what? There's not that much, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not that much.
Yeah.
So Sins of Sinister happened. I
Hmm.
was like, oh yeah, Ultimate Invasion occurred.
Yes. Ultimate Invasion was actually a real. We're supposed to be talking about our favorite books as opposed to like
But
things that didn't work.
I'm like reflecting on the year where I'm just
Right.
like, that happened. But
Right, like we
I
got the new Ultimate Universe that happened
that
in
happened.
2023. We got the new Hickman era of magic,
Yeah.
as well. Like the Fall of X took place here.
Yep.
Sinister, the culmination of I would say the entirety of that character's existence
Yeah.
has reached its like peak
Yep.
in an event that people have been begging for. When Sinister first appears in Hawks and Pox,
Everyone's just waiting for it.
everyone was excited.
We're,
And then they finally deliver it, and in a way that isn't disruptive
Yeah.
or betrays the depiction of him in the beginning of the series, and people didn't read the damn thing.
yeah.
And it was just like,
Mm-hmm.
and you know what? I will say there is an issue because there's a disparity, and this is more of a cultural thing, but there's a disparity in the comic book industry between the people who talk about comic books out in the world and the people who read them. And the people who read them don't go online. Like, I'm not saying the people who are in the chat, the people who make YouTube videos, the people who make TikTok videos, the people who tweet about them, that they're not reading comic books. But the people who respond to the people who talk about comic books
Right.
represents a small amount. And you've talked about this before. You've talked about like the sample sizes. Now it's like what you're looking at is the majority of people who have opted to use that very narrow and specific form of communication. So it's like you got all the people in the world, and then you have all the people in the world who read comic books, and you have all the people in the world who read comic books and also use Twitter, and you have all the people who who read comic books and use Twitter and also like watch YouTube videos, and then you have an even smaller like margin people who are like who read comic books watch YouTube videos and comment on videos or watch the show live. Like it's such a small, narrow field. And so it's like, but but because you're in that space, you assume that like that's the norm, that's the expectation, that's what everybody's thinking. But no, like, and yet Amazing Spider-Man is the #1 book at Marvel every year or at least in 2023, Amazing Spider-Man #1 book at Marvel.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not because the comic book industry is dying. That's because there's a disparity between what people are yelling out their windows and people who are actually just going to the comic book store. But that's all to say, I genuinely do believe that there is like, there's an element of gatekeeping, and not like in a negative way. I just mean like in a way where it's like, there are arbiters, and the people who have the greatest influence over who reads comic books or not are the comic book retailer and word of mouth. Those are the two largest influencers on comic books, right? Because if you are a quiet Wednesday warrior, you go to your comic book store, you are going to be and you are not influenced. I don't go on Twitter, I don't go on YouTube, I don't watch all that crap.
Right.
You are going to be influenced by the general demeanor, the attitude, and the opinions of your comic book retailer, because that's the one guardian between you and the book. You have to talk to that person in order to get it. And if every week you get this book and the person at the counter goes, "This is amazing, that's a great book," you're probably gonna keep reading it. And they might, even if they're a good retailer, is gonna be like, "Oh, and by the way, if you like this, you're probably gonna like this too." And that's gonna guarantee sales. But also, you're going to lose people if that retailer is like, "Oh, you're still reading this? Me and my people on Reddit say that it sucks," or like, "Did you read the thing on Twitter that says this sucks?" Like, that's gonna, because you're gonna be like exhausted. Yeah. You're like, I don't want to fucking talk to this guy anymore. Or I don't want to I don't want to hear it every week, even though I love this book.
Yeah.
Just frustrating.
I mean,
and it's like, but that's more influential than we are.
Right.
But I saw, apropos of Sins of Sinister, there was one force, one of the loudest voices in comics that every week I had to argue with, who was saying that Fall of X sucks, it's a failure, and it's impossible to get into. That X-Men has been impossible to read and impossible to penetrate and impossible to understand for years. And I'm like, not only is that unhelpful and hurtful, but it's also demonstrably false. It's just false.
I'm like living proof of that.
Right? Like, Tiffany went from reading literal 0 X-Men books to the majority of X-Men books. And it's like, and it really isn't like, I don't understand this mentality of like, I need to, what do I read? What needs to be? Just drop the things you don't want to read and read the things you do want to read. And it's literally not complicated anymore. And I'm just so sick of hearing this, like this like it's just so frustrating. Like when I get it, when you have people who have vested interest in that, whether it's like, you know, business owners who are unhappy with the economics of the situation, or where you have people who are like just baffled and confused by regular ongoing series. But then you have people who are like, hey, you and me are on the exact same footing, and I have absolutely no stake in it. And also, I'm going to try and sabotage you in your reading. Like, why are you arguing? But anyway, that's all to say. Sins of Sinister was a cool event, and it worked really well. And it wasn't. It's not that it was hard to get into. No. It wasn't like it was hard to follow.
No.
And even if you can acknowledge, like, I love Al Ewing, I love Immortal Hulk. Oh, Kieran Gillen, I love Kieran Gillen. I love The Wicked and Divine. Like, I love who else wrote it? It was Cy Spurrier. His Hellblazer run was second to none outside of Garth Ennis. Like, okay, but I can't read Sinister. But like, what, Storm, Nightcrawlers? What issue do I start with? Then pre-order the damn hardcover. Then pre-order the trade paperback. Right? Yeah. If you acknowledge that these are the best writers in the industry, or at least in the big two, and that you love Sinister, then pre-order the damn volume. If it's that hard to literally Google Sins of Sinister reading order, which you could easily do. Like, you don't need a like glossy printout at your local comic book store that has a damn like set list of what comes out, nor do you need a printed page in the actual book, which they both did. You could also just Google it and say, oh, that's how you read it. Okay.
Yeah. You have the internet's at your fingertips the entire time. But anyway, so that also happened. I was reminded that Lazarus Planet.
Oh, Lazarus Planet. Yeah. And you know what the funny thing is?
I was like, and that was like beginning of the year.
Sinister, Lazarus Planet, and Night Terrors.
Yeah.
All books.
Oh, they're peppered out throughout.
No, I know. No, but all events and all not terrible but all shouted down by the vast minority of window screamers out there.
Sure.
Because like Night Terrors, like who asked for this? Not you. Don't read it.
Right.
Lazarus Planet. Lazarus Planet was admittedly difficult to understand, and as much as where does it start? And because you might not have heard of Lazarus Planet, or you might have been like, I didn't read the Robin book that it came from, or I don't understand what Batman versus Robin has to do with this.
Sure.
And I think DC was backing horses without actually like watching the races. So they were like, oh man, I think this Batman versus Robin book is going to be huge. And it's like, it wasn't. But Mark Waid though, which I, like, you know, I bet on Mark Waid to write a good story. I don't bet on Mark Waid to get asses in seats based on name recognition.
Fair.
But yeah, so it's like, but Lazarus Planet that first issue looked great, but every other book didn't look like that,
right?
And it wasn't consistent, and it didn't like they didn't trust. They didn't go like we need this,
right.
Sell,
right.
Yeah, Lazarus Planet that came out.
It came out,
and people are like, oh, it sucks. I'm like, I guarantee you didn't read the damn thing.
But there's like, you know,
how could you say it sucks? You didn't read it?
There's things going on now too, like gang wars happening.
Gang war,
Beast World is occurring.
Beast World,
you know what I mean? Like there was a lot. There were events, but it didn't feel like, I don't know, like it didn't feel as stifling event wise. Like it was still too many.
Yeah, despite the fact that there were like 5 or 6 events, including
because there really weren't too many that were like cross entire chains.
No,
like Night Terrors kind of was.
There was an event that
I wrote that down. I wasn't even going to bring it up.
I couldn't even find the books on Comixology to buy back when Comixology existed. That's because
they were all annuals.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It wasn't really it was an event, but Contest of Chaos happened this year. And because I saw in my list. And so I went back through, I was like, why did I have this? And I saw the banner at the top and I was like, right.
There we go.
I was trying out Contest of Chaos.
Yes.
Which was the Agatha Harkness
The
event.
Agatha's Hot Now event.
Yeah. But it was like across annuals.
Right.
So that's how you had to pick it up.
Yeah.
Which was like very old school. It reminded me of Bloodlines.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
or Atlantis Attacks.
Incidentally,
you know, apropos of that and like the you know, the marvel of it all. You know, because it was like you had to buy, you know, like Wolverine annual, like, you know, Spider-Man annual, Avengers annual, Murder World. I talked at length on the other show about Murder World, but Murder World's reading order was like a slap in the face. Like for like, how am I supposed to read this? Well, just pick up Murder World Avengers #1, Murder World Spider-Man #1, Murder World Wolverine #1, Murder World Moon Knight #1, and then Murder World Game Over #1. So simple. It's so simple. This isn't 1992. I'm not going to pick up Deathmate Black, Yellow, and Blue and go like, oh no, we numbered them with colors so you could read them all out of sequence. It doesn't matter what.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that was like a horrible way to sell it. And then they go, yeah, I guess people don't want Ray Fox and Jim Zub books, I guess. Never mind the fact that like No Surrender sold great and was awesome.
Right.
And all it was No Surrender numbers 1 through 8 or whatever.
I getcha. So like when I'm looking back at the beginning of my year, I was looking at like some of the first books I bought in January.
Please.
And they were things like, do you guys remember that Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings was still coming out?
I did not.
I was like, what? Oh yeah. Right before that was like, it was coming to its end.
Yes.
So like coming into 2023, I was like leaving Shang-Chi behind. I was leaving Doctor Strange Fall Sunrise. That was still coming out at the beginning of this year, right?
And that's not to say that you were leaving it behind.
No, it was
those series were ending.
Like those series were wrapping up, right? I had just recently discovered a book called The Approach, which was a cold horror book that I really enjoyed. It was an indie book.
Yeah. How was it?
I didn't finish all of it.
Oh no.
That was on me. And that's like, I have a list of books that I would like to come back to.
You fell off on.
Like there's a list of books that I'm like, I would like to get back into those. Fair. Right. So and that's one of them. Right. When I looked at the X-Men Red team, it looked so different at the beginning of this year.
Yeah.
Like so different. Let's see. Cable was on it. Cora was on it. WizKid, Weaponless Zen, Vulcan, Manifold, Thunderbird, and Abigail Brand they were still all we were watching the fall of Abigail Brand. We were watching things shift back over to an Araco-based X-Men Red.
Yeah.
That the first issue of the year actually had Vulcan in it, which I thought was so like apropos because we would come around and in the end of X-Men Red, Vulcan would be part of Apocalypse's spell.
Right.
So it comes back around.
Cool.
So it's like it was just really I was like, oh my gosh, like X-Men Red looked so different. It was definitely one of my top books this year. Just watching Storm not only go through Sins of Sinister,
Yeah.
but also like with the Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants.
Yes.
But also then to come out on the other side of it and have to deal with Genesis.
Right.
Just really great. I love watching her come into her own. And just like a fun book that had everything to do with what was going on in Krakoa, but also could be read a bit in a void.
Yes.
You know, just a really, really great book. I thought Ewing did such an excellent job.
Absolutely.
I do miss Abigail Brand. To some degree, I felt like she got done dirty, but I'm also kind of like, you know what? That is you though, Abby. That is 100% you.
Yeah.
At the beginning of 2023, Doctor Strange was still dead.
Right.
We knew
Clea was the headliner of the series.
He was
the
Harvestman.
Yes.
but like that series was going to come to a close, and we were going to start the new Doctor Strange book.
Right. The Stephen Strange led series.
Right, which is like I haven't been enjoying that book, but between the two Jed MacKay books, even though Doctor Strange is my favorite, I like his Moon Knight better.
Oh.
Like I like the Doctor Strange book, but I love his Moon Knight book.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like and so like Moon Knight's probably a bit more of a standout for me this year. And that could also just be because I was like, I read 30 issues of Moon Knight.
Yeah. But you also read all of Jed MacKay's Doctor Strange run, including the Death of and Clea's book.
And and Strange is still ongoing.
Yeah.
And I'm still reading it. But like it was just, you know, Strange had just come back. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like that's neat, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it's kind of fun.
Definitely. I should say that like I successfully read 1 out of 12 issues of Danger Street, because Danger Street, I think.
Did you say 1?
Yeah, I read 1 out of 12 issues of Danger Street. I read the first issue and went, I'm not connecting with it.
Yeah.
But I know how this works, so I'm just going to pre-order it and hope it, you know, I mean, it's a 12-issue series by Tom King. They're not going to cancel it by issue 7.
Right.
But that's the way that the world works in this situation. The Human Target ended 12 issues. I think it launched with issue 10 in 2023, and then it was 10, 11, 12, and it ended, and it was again, you know, just perfection, just kept it going.
Yeah.
Punisher wrapped up with 2023. I went issues 9, 10, and 11, 12, I think it ended with 12 issues. And so I got to read the last 3. But at that point, it had already been a ride or die for that series. So I was like, all right, let's just see how it ends. And that was another like success.
Yeah, that's always hard for me, is like, you know, it matters to me if the majority, or not the majority, but like a long bit of it, like X-Men for me, like I'm just like X-Men.
Right, like X-Men continued to be enjoyable. Like
it was still enjoyable, but again in a very different place. Like Sync and Talon had just gotten back together.
Right, like Sync was revealed. Yeah,
we're Talon was back.
That's right. I'm in Talon. That's right.
And the two of them like are you know, they're forming their relationship. The Brood, we're gonna deal with them.
Remember that? I barely remember that.
I'm like,
the Brood was a thing. Like a Brood was a problem.
Yeah, and like it was a problem that like caused Jean and Cyclops to have a little bit of a falling out. Like I'm like, this was 2023. That's where X-Men was.
Yes.
Like we're like getting these like inklings, the fall is coming.
Yeah.
Like here are these things, and it's like it's so like fascinating to me to start like to see where you were in January, February, to where, especially in X-Men world, where we are right now.
By issue 7, I think, of Daredevil, in January.
Yeah,
that was where I was like, this is it. Like this is where we're gonna see like if they did any coordination between the Punisher book and the Daredevil book. Spoilers, they didn't. Like Punisher's in both of them appear in like their respective books and do nothing of consequence, and you're like, oh yeah, there was no. This was all a courtesy for each other.
Yeah.
But Daredevil fell like for me. Like that was where it was this was Zdarsky's like opus. It was going to be incredible, and it just by issue 7, I knew. I'm like, this is not for me anymore. Wow. Not that it was bad, but it was like it was rushed. You could feel like everything just get like just hurried along. And even though, and every issue, every time the book came out, I'd be like, oh yeah, okay. And it was just, you could feel this kind of like looming not this looming ending for the series, but not in a way where you're like, like here we go, like the way Human Target ended,
right?
Or the way Life Story ended back a year or two ago,
right.
With Zdarsky, I love Zdarsky, but you could feel like his Daredevil kind of just go, yeah,
right.
And by then I was like, oh no, you know, it no longer resembled the book I loved.
I wanted to give, like, again, I'm kind of like sticking in the X-Men corner right now.
I
will talk about other books. I promise you all that. I just want to give a shout out because Legion of X was still going on at the beginning of this year, and just what a beautiful story. Cy Spurrier gave to us, housing one of my favorite issues of this year within it. I think it's number 10 for Legion of X. It's the conversation that
Xavier has with Legion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That like I had it in the back of my mind, but I hadn't really actively thought about it until I was scrolling through this list, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like where, Xavier has come basically to screw him over, and then like realizes like
I'm a bad dad.
Oh, I'm the monster. It's me. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And I hate to say this, but like if you want to get like if you want to get a really good understanding of like where Spurrier was coming from and like where he gets the idea for Xavier's relationship with Daniel.
Yeah.
Watch the episode of me and Cy
yeah.
talking about
that
it.
Actually might be issue 9.
I wish you were.
8 or 9.
I wish you had been in that because like it really it clicked for me in such a profound way.
Yeah,
where I'm like, that's what he means. Like, okay, that's awesome.
No, but like I love Legion of X. Everything about it. Same thing with Immortal X-Men.
Yes.
Gillen on Immortal X-Men was great.
Of course.
Absolutely like standout issues like for me. And again, all of Sins of Sinister. I literally loved it.
Yeah.
From start to finish.
Immoral X-Men, Nightcrawlers.
Yeah, and Storm and the Brotherhood. Like just great. Had a great time. Yeah. I was gonna say also X-Force in a
you read a lot of X-Force.
Totally different place.
Yes.
Like we're dealing with Xeno still, like the guy with the peacock tattoos and all that stuff.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Only to now be in a place where Beast is a bad guy.
Right.
Like fully
full
like,
on
like,
supervillain.
We haven't dealt with that yet, really.
No.
And we finally got Colossus back out of where he was. Like, you know what I mean? Like X-Force was in a completely different place at the beginning of this. And it was one of those things where it was like, I kind of floated in and out of X-Force, and then I really just got into it quite a bit as we were launching into, Beast's like revelation of what he's been up to. Beast and what he doing.
Yeah.
With all the Wolverines and such.
Yes.
So for me, it was like a weird year because I knew Fall of X was coming. The Hellfire Gala happens this year.
Yep.
As well.
Yeah, the Hellfire Gala issue was a standout.
Yeah.
A massive book that completely changes everything. It just completely shifts everything for X-Men.
No, for sure. But I coming into it knowing that we were going to be winding down, I wasn't really sure how I was going to feel about it. And as I was going through it, I felt one way, and now looking back on it, I was like, this is a really great ride down.
Yes.
Like, I'm really like...
Yeah, you're really glad it wasn't just like, okay, now let's break everything and just... We'll revel in, like, destruction instead of, like, building and creating, especially because you really liked what was being built and created.
Yeah. And
no, this was, like, a genuine, like, story.
Yeah, it's a genuine story, and even if we are breaking things as we go down, it's
respectful.
It's done in a very respectful way.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of it for mostly for X-Men stuff.
Okay.
Obviously Wolverine was a book I popped in and out of based on how it was doing.
Yes.
But speaking of stuff with Wolverine, I want to give a shout out to Ben Percy, like taking his Wolverine run and his Ghost Rider run and giving us a crossover.
Yep.
Even if it was tied to what was going on with Fall of X and like leading up to that. Just a really great story.
Yeah.
Great to see someone with a passion for those two characters able to combine them and do something fun with them.
Yeah.
Just like I've really enjoyed Percy's Ghost Rider. It's one of those books that sometimes I'm like, I'll follow an arc.
Yes.
And then sometimes I'll fall off an arc.
Totally.
Right. But it's never because I'm just like not interested. It's usually because I'm overwhelmed with other stories and I'll go back. But gets it. We started off the year with Ghost Rider this year. We're dealing with Danny Ketch at the beginning of this year, and
which was really exciting for a few seconds.
Sure. But yeah, shout out to Percy just for being so consistent. X-Force has been one of the longer running X books since Krakoa launched. So incredible work there for sure.
Yeah. I have to shout out to Nightwing. Nightwing continued to be like a book that was exemplary and maintained this kind of like positive vibe. Like it wanted you to believe like, you can read a story about a character without like relying on suffering and people won't just quit the book because their hero has a happy ending. You know, like you weren't just like, there is a roller coaster of reading comic books at this point where it's like, oh, I'll get into this thing and I'll be lured in by the hero being given everything they want to, or at the very least the hero succeeding, and then be careful what you wish for, or what, and now I'll break everything and see where like how low we can get the hero. This is not that book. And of course, like if Tom Taylor leaves the book, you will see Dick Grayson fall hard again. But I think because Dick Grayson had been dragged through the mud, we're from Rick's to, Forever Evils. It was like, let's just put him in the hands of somebody who has reverence and love for the character and just wants to see that character succeed, which was nice. And it was a good positive vibe. I was like, that's really nice.
I love it.
Gotham City Year One ended and it was perfect.
Sure.
I remember being really excited for Adventures of Superman John Kent, and because the pitch was like, okay, Electric Blue Superman stuff.
Yeah.
And also Injustice. And it's like, wow, like that's really cool because Superman lost his son or unborn child from Lois.
Right.
John being there, that'll really like add something and deepen both versions of the character. Nope. Complete dud.
Okay.
And like I think it showed that even gods like Tom Taylor can bleed. Like not everything is all sunshine and rainbows. Gold Goblin continued. It was another weird book that I was like, wow, how is this a good book? How could this succeed? I read a bunch of Unstoppable Doom Patrol, which I enjoyed.
Yeah.
That was another like genuine approach that was like completely different from the last ones that we knew from Dennis Culver. Chris Burnham's art really gave it that kind of like fun off kilter look and feel. Of course, Batman Superman World's Finest was another book, but like again, by the time we reached 2023, we knew it was a great series.
But that doesn't mean it can't be a highlight for you. Like it could still be something where it's just like, hey, like I think there's celebration in something remaining so consistent. I think that's why McKay's Moon Knight for me was just such a success. It was 30 issues that were great. Like there was only a couple of times you heard me go like, this wasn't as good as the last one. But it didn't mean it was bad.
No, it was just it dipped a little bit.
Yeah.
Or it was just like it wasn't focusing on the thing that made you the most excited.
Exactly. Oh, by the way, remember how I said I didn't have any more X-Men?
Yeah,
well, I'm just
a
liar. I'm just a liar, right? Because I totally forgot to turn the page. And like obviously Dark X-Men was something that I surprisingly was like, oh, excellent. Uncanny Spider-Man.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Spurrier book. It's still ongoing. That launched this year, obviously because of the fall of X.
Yes.
Jean Grey #1. Standout for me. Definite standout, especially that #1 issue. Louise Simonson, Louise, completely knocked it out of the park. Like really, like I mean, I had good thoughts. I thought it would be good going into it. I did not expect her to really to have such a modern voice for that book. So that was incredible. Additionally, X-Men Blue Origins.
Oh yeah,
I liked that book a lot. I know it was
controversial
for certain. I really enjoyed it, and I appreciate everyone who was able to have a constructive conversation about it. You guys are the real MVPs.
Yeah. This is a good year for Joshua Williamson as well, by the way. Not just for him he headlined. I mean, he did Dark Crisis before that. Night Terrors, he got to like kind of like shepherd that, regardless of people's opinion about it. But his solo series, things like Green Arrow and Superman was one of those like, oh, finally Superman's back.
Yeah,
he's and with an approach that's both fresh and with a foot in nostalgia, but not in a like self-indulgent kind of way, in a like I always make it like this kind of analogy, but it's not a reskin. It's like when you look at the Ocarina of Time. I remember that game being beautiful and amazing, but then when they revamped it, it was like, oh, that's how I remember it, and it is as good as I remember it because they cleaned it up a little bit.
Right.
But Green Arrow, I didn't really know a lot about Ollie, nor did I really care, and that was a very easy book to read, and I still read it today. And I was like shocked by how much I enjoyed it. I was like, wow, this is like really cool and fun, and it just further explained his history and more importantly his family. I regularly read Shazam for a time, and it was just like what a sabotage. They're just like, here's Dan Mora and Mark Waid doing Shazam. Like if it was like Dan Mora and Mark Waid doing anything, I'd be like, oh, done. And Shazam was one of those things where I'm like, oh, I guess I'll have to put my money where my mouth is in this one. And I did, and I was rewarded for having like a really joyful, fun book that doesn't feel like anything else.
Yeah.
That was a shock, and it was really good.
I figure for a second I want to like just toss it back over because like here's something I noticed for myself this year.
Yeah.
And as the year has been wrapping up, it has kind of shifted slightly, but I want to try. I'm going to go out of my way that next year.
Yeah.
But I noticed like I'm super Marvel heavy, super Marvel, and a
which
little
is
bit
amazing
of indie.
because that's
like,
usually not the case.
I know, but I'm very Marvel. This year in particular, I was like, wow, it was Marvel, with some indie stuff, which I was like, I want to get back into more of those. But with indie, it has to be something I'm interested in.
Totally.
Like, it's something that I want, right?
Yeah, it can't just be like, I'm just going to read them all and then see what happens.
Yeah. But like DC, I was like, I really felt like I wasn't. There just wasn't
Plugged
something
in.
I didn't like. I just didn't feel a connection to many of the books.
And you took
a
lot of attempts. Like you did jump into a lot of them.
I did. But I did note that I was like, oh my gosh, this was the year that Swamp Thing, Green Hell returned.
Yes. Yeah, with the 3, I think it was what, 3 or 4 issues?
It was 3 issues.
And like, so the first issue came out last year.
Yeah, and there were some issues there. But it had come back this year, back in February. I was like, I completely forgot about that book. It was a Black Label book. Issue 2 and 3 came out in February and March of this year. And I think it was good. I honestly, I don't feel like it had like a strong impact on me, but I was just like, you know what? I was really, really glad that it did come back.
Yes, and that they were able to.
But it was evidence of a Black Label book that wasn't a Batman book.
Exactly,
so
right?
Hey, it was great.
yeah, no, it's true.
But yeah, so that's something I'd like to try to maybe make a little shift towards. And again, like this year, obviously, as Wonder Woman launched with Tom King, I obviously I've been reading that and I have been enjoying it.
Yep. Same
for sure.
Daniel Samper's art is just unparalleled compared to what he was doing with Dark Crisis and so forth, but this is something else.
Yeah, and honestly, along those lines, it was a one shot, but I kind of enjoyed that Supergirl special.
Yeah,
that they did.
Yeah, I remember
it was like one issue, and
I
was just like, I picked this up and I read it, and I think I had a nice time with it. So,
right.
And I mean, also, obviously, there's also Batman Santa Silent Night, which is a silly book, but I'm really enjoying it. I know, but now it's in continuity. So
yeah. But what about I'm sure there was a ton of like other indie books that you read.
Yeah. So there's a few other indie books I started picking up. Like I said, like Phantom Road is officially on my list of books that I need to catch up with.
Yep.
There was a few Dark Spaces books, Good Deeds, that I really enjoyed this year. Of course, Dark Spaces Dungeon, 100%. I loved that book. I want to give a huge shout out to Hexagon Bridge.
Yes.
That book launched this year, and it was one of those, I was struck by the cover. I read a little bit of the summary, and I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. And I have been floored by it's a one-person operation over there doing writing and art, and the art is just, it's next level. I do love the story.
Yeah.
The art is incredible. If you picked up the first issue and maybe it wasn't like you didn't feel connection to it, I think in trade it's going to be like just incredible. Like
totally.
just really, really great.
Yeah.
I didn't really. I should have actually like sectioned these out into what they were, but I didn't. I just.
Oh, okay. I thought you had like an indie section.
No,
so I was gonna say
no,
like you read World Tree. That was another book that you.
I did read that, but I did not connect with. I maybe I have to go back to it.
Okay,
I was like, I'm not gonna worry about that. The Hunger in the Dusk.
Ah, yes.
Hot Orc book, as G. Willow Wilson has dubbed it. Just really great book. Obviously, Saga continued this year.
Yep.
No dip in quality. Just something. It's a treat for me, and I absolutely adore it. Quite a few IDW books this year for me.
It's true. Yeah, even I got in on the action. It wasn't an indie book by any stretch of the imagination. The Stranger Things TMNT book.
Oh yeah.
I was like, wow, this is really fun and really good. And like, if you love turtles, you'll love that crossover.
Yeah. We got a few, obviously, like more for her covers. But Peach Momoko.
Oh yes.
But she did do some Demon Day stuff this year.
Yeah, I think one of them actually launched this year at the beginning of the year.
Maybe Demon Days is all within.
I know,
thing, but like each book,
they're all like little mini series.
Title, but they all like a lot of them. They all connect.
Yes.
But just made me extra excited for her upcoming run at X-Men.
Oh my god, yeah, that's right. She's gonna be spearheading the entirety of Ultimate X-Men.
I'm like, it is X-Men. Yes.
Yeah, with the POV character being Armor.
Yeah.
Set in Japan.
I also wanted, along with those DC stuff, Flash #1.
Oh yeah.
I hear
Spurrier's Flash.
Talk about like diving into something I know nothing about. I mean, I do. I watched the cartoons.
Right. You're like, I'm familiar with Flash.
Yeah, at least with Wally. So it's like I get it, Speed Force.
Right.
But never really like jumped into reading a run. And like I said, like I'm not usually a follower of a writer, but I was like, you know what, if Cy Spurrier's gonna write, I'm gonna at least give it a shot.
Yep.
and I am really digging it. I know for Flash fans, maybe it's not their thing, but I do like some darkness in my books, and
Of
I
course.
like to think that, like, it's a Bob Rossian moment for
Yeah.
Cy, where he's like painting. You got to like lay down some of those darks in order. You got to get the shadows in there to make that light pop.
That's right.
Like,
That's right.
so I like to think that we are building towards that, because like it always feels to me like the Flash family, the Flash characters are fun, and there's like hope to them.
Naturally.
So
Yeah.
I've been enjoying that, getting me over to that side a little bit.
Definitely.
And then a book that Sal was like, you have to read this, and I was like, this was fun and it was silly and it was dumb, but Batman Offworld.
Yes. Yeah, Batman Offworld was another one where I'm like, Nuh.
You're like, what was that?
Yeah.
What was that?
Next issue comes out this week, so I'm really excited.
Yeah. So what else you got?
In terms of Black Label, it was not as exciting as it has been before, but they finally launched that like kind of quasi sequel to Birthright, which is the like Mark Waid, Brian Hitch, Last Days of Lex Luthor book, which clearly was done. Like, I think this book was finished early, and DC rushed it out because now the book is like, it's almost like they're never going to finish it, because like Hitch needs another year or two to finish the book. Like, and I'm like, I know how like prestigious it is to like get Hitch because people remember him from 30 years ago. But like at this point, it doesn't need to be Hitch. Like you don't need that kind of like, Hitch is bringing his A game on that book.
Yeah.
But it didn't have like it did the job, but it didn't have the hit that I think I was like looking for.
Right.
It was good, and I liked it, but it was similar with Ultimate Invasion, where it was like that was a book that was really hyped. I think people were really excited, and the art was like, when it worked pretty well. Yeah. And when it didn't, it really didn't work. And it was like that, and the like weaponized pretension of that series made me like go. I went from being the most excited to being like, maybe I'll jump off of the main Marvel universe and just go full into the new Ultimate Universe too. Oh, well, I'll just wait and see how this goes. And so yeah, but now with Ultimate Spider-Man, like that's coming out in 2024, and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
But again, that's 2024.
Yeah.
Which is great, because it means that it will have that book in 2024. We can talk about whether that was an unmitigated success or disaster.
Right.
Because it could be with Hickman and Checchetto on that book. Like there's actually like a lesson I want like the industry to learn from that book, which is like you really, that is like when they launch it, Ultimate Spider-Man's coming out. It's got Jonathan Hickman and Marco Checchetto. Like one of the most established, winningest, in continuity or continuity writers in recent years, and one of the like biggest rising stars of the like of our publishing line. And you're kind of like, oh, I need to get this. This is a must-have book.
Yeah.
And Batman and Spider-Man should be the must-have books every effing month.
Right.
Like I shouldn't feel like this every year or so. It was like, man, were we spoiled. Like I was just thinking about like the Snyder Capullo run of Batman, and how it's like that was a like, you can't miss this book every single month, to the point where they could get away with doing a thing where they're like, the fat cats say that everything's got to be different. DCU. So Batman's gone after one of the biggest Batman stories we could ever muster, and so Gordon's going to take up the reins, but Snyder and Capullo are staying on the book. So it's like, well, I got to keep reading it.
Yeah. There's a level of consistency. You have to keep one thing consistent.
Right. But it's still like, you got some crazy looking, really great stuff. No. And it felt tonally consistent throughout the entire run. Right. Like Spider-Man needs that. They main like flagship books need the top talent that you can find. Yeah. And then but you can always find the new top talent by giving them other books, like Spine-Tingling Spider-Man, or Uncanny Spider-Man, or like whatever book. It doesn't have to be Spider-Man, but like, just other side books that are like, still gonna be published and still gonna be bought by a percentage of your readers.
I want to also mention another indie book I read, The Deviant.
Oh yeah, The Deviant.
James Tynion, the fourth book. Again, very, very, very immature, very, very immature. But just a genuinely like scary read.
Absolutely,
I can't wait for that to come out.
Yeah,
the next issue of that for sure.
Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
was another book that I need to get you to read.
Well, that's on. So I have a list.
Oh, of like what you want to jump into.
Of like things that it's like I need to get myself going here, and I'll be happy to go over that later on.
And I'm frustrated to say, you know, Penguin, you know, its debut, I was like, why is it so good? No.
Yeah.
And it is. It's just it's great, and it's a Penguin book.
And it's a Penguin book, right?
And Transformers, I think, you know, I've always been like, kind of like, oh man, Transformers, like I like it, but it's not quite what I was hoping for, you know, or not quite. It wasn't what Do a Power Bomb or Dead Earth or even Murder Falcon has achieved. But I think when you read it all, like I think when you get it into like a big, you know, like hardcover, it's gonna be unlike any Transformers run ever.
Right.
Like I think that people will be talking about it forever.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, and that's something special. Like I'm on the ground floor of something really special. I find, you know, I read City of Madness. Meh. The art is great.
Okay.
You would love the art.
I've seen the art.
The writing is
just not for you.
Not.
Okay.
Like it's just it's very like straightforward and surface level.
I also along those same lines of DC, Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong. A kind of a divisive book for Sal.
Yeah, I'm not in it.
I am so like into it. I'm so loving it. It's just the right type of like
schlock or fun.
Yeah, it is fun. I think it's just fun. Do I know that part of the reason I'm reading it is because I do want to see those huge splash pages of like Superman being dwarfed by Godzilla? Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I want that. Yeah, why wouldn't I want that?
That's what it's there for. That's what it's there for. Yeah, that's
yeah. I am really loving that book. And I'm looking forward to reading more of it in the coming year. I would love to maybe do that on the couch sometime.
Oh, I would love to see that.
I would absolutely get such a kick out of that.
No question. Babylon 5 creator J. Michael Straczynski came back to Captain America, and it's great. It's not the Mark Waid, Chris Samnee run where I'm like, this is a freaking amazing, but it's got Jesus Saiz from Punisher, and it's like, it's good. It's a good book. I'm like, yeah. But yeah, so that's a good one.
Yeah, for sure. here was the one that I like immediately upon seeing the cover was like, oh my gosh. I loved this book. I really did. It was like it was a little bit of a kind of a sleeper hit for me. Like I was just like, oh my gosh, that came out. Yes. But Werewolf by Night.
Oh yeah.
Came out. Derek Landy and Fran Gallen on writing an art duty for that book, and that like it was one issue, and it was so good, and I was just I wish there was more of it, but maybe that want makes it all the better. I don't know.
Yeah. Did you also talk about spine tingling Spider-Man at all?
Yeah, I've got that on my list.
Oh,
I was giving you time if you had more.
Oh, thank you. I mean, like every week we read books.
Oh yeah, I know, but I have like two more that are like definite, like yes, absolutes for me.
Oh well, I was shocked that Ultimate Universe was better than Ultimate Invasion.
Yeah.
I was really worried after Ultimate Invasion that Ultimate Universe was going to.
Well, and again, like I had a very different take on that because I only read like the first issue of Ultimate Invasion, and then I forgot. Like I
forgot about the rest of them.
Yeah, the second one, and then by the time the third one came out, I was like, oh no, I can't read that because I haven't read the. So like I completely fell off of like course with that, and then I read the other one, and I was like, this was great, but I know I'm reading it without context.
Yeah.
But it gives me hope for
the universe.
Yeah. Especially since he's sharing, writing duty.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think he has proven with the launch of Krakoa that he can manage working with others and like having those ideas hopefully like kind of come together. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what the new Ultimate Universe produces.
Me too.
I think I already mentioned Uncanny Spider-Man, but
did?
If I didn't, I'm saying it again. Even if I did, I'm saying it again because what a great book.
I agree.
It is great.
Similarly, like where it's what you remember but different. Peppo's Punisher book is very much. It reminds me of Punisher 2099. So if you like that series, you should probably check out that one. It's very much a distinctly like Marvel comic. Like if Punisher 1 dropped in 1994, it would have 80 issues. The fact that it launched in 2023 means it probably will get 7.
Right.
But, you know, but I wish it well. I like it, but again, I like it, and I think it's distinctly Marvel. But I do miss the rush I had from reading the Aaron Punisher book.
That's fair. Also this year, earlier in the year, It's Jeff came
out.
Yeah,
it's Jeff.
And then later in the year, It's Jeff, the Jeff-verse.
Yes.
Very family friendly, very light reading. Like if you had been like having a rough day or a rough week of it, or just felt like maybe comics didn't have like that type of joy to it.
Yeah.
That was 2 issues that were like, here you go. It's silly, it's fluff, it's fun. You can't. It's not like I'm going to compare it to like, you know, like, and on meanwhile over on Cy Spurrier's run, this is happening. But I mean, like, it's Jeff. No, there's just totally different things.
Yes.
You know,
which is very okay.
Little vignettes, perfect. And again, if you have, you know, kids or like, you know, nephews, nieces, whatever, it's something you can totally look at with them. There's really no writing in it. It's just like,
yes,
Jeff doesn't speak. You know,
right, exactly.
But just it's a fun little read. Absolutely love it.
I also want to give a big shout out to Ethan S. Parker and Griffin Sheridan and Bob Quinn for producing Kill Your Darlings. This is a culmination of a dream of theirs, and I'm really thrilled to see that it's come to fruition. It's a, you know, very genuine attempt at, like, you know, their take on a kind of like, you know, genuine, here's like a cracked mirror version of, you know, trauma and reality. I'm like, good for you.
Excellent. This is just something I was like, I had forgotten this came out. And I know I enjoyed it. I don't know if on a reread if I've enjoyed it as much. But do you remember when The Unforgiven came out? It was X-Men Unforgiven,
Spider-Man Unforgiven, of course.
Captain
Yeah,
America
where it was like what was it?
Tim Seeley's just like
his
vampire story
event. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. It wasn't even an event. It was just clearly it could have been if Marvel had their version of a Black Label book.
Yes.
That's where this would have gone.
Yeah.
And they could have really amped it up then. But I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like, okay. Such a good thing. And like along those lines, Spine Tingling Spider-Man, a book that, you know, initially I'm reading it and I'm like, cool, not sure I get the art choice, and then it hits
until you turn the page. Yeah.
And when you see it, it's incredible.
Yep.
You know, I think we're like 2 issues in on that.
Yeah.
And I know it hit in the right month, and now we're like, we're out of like the month where like people tend to gravitate more towards horror.
Yeah.
I'm kind of an all year round horror kind of gal, so it doesn't really matter for me. So I'm just waiting for the rest of it at this point. But like, you will definitely be seeing that for Halloween. I'm back issues.
Definitely.
Like we're good. We got it.
We got to do that one. That'll be a great one. Good call. Spine Tingling Spider-Man's a good one to do.
It's really good. Really great. I think we're going to do 2 next year.
I think that's a great
idea.
idea.
I think they're arguably both Marvel though. So
we should. See. I hope we can. I hope we can remember to do that.
It's tended to be Batman, but I was like, I think I got 2 Marvel.
Well, Spider-Man will get away with it.
Yeah.
I was also turned on to 2 different artists that I never heard of.
Okay.
And I apologize for not knowing them at the time, but Gavin Guidry's art and Danny Earle's art. I was like, I'd never seen their art before. And I also got a chance to, thanks to New York Comic Con, see Aaron Campbell's art in person. And that was a game changer.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
I will get into an artist that I was like, wow, by. But I do have one more book, and I if I don't mention it, I think somebody inevitably like, how did she not say this?
Yeah.
Because there's going to be something I just missed or I wasn't thinking about in the moment when I was making my list. Because your list will like change as you're reflecting on it. Like if you were to ask me to reflect on this in like a month or so, it would probably be different, right?
Yeah.
But Gods.
Oh yes, Gods, of course.
Gods came out this.
That was Skeety,
year.
Right?
Yes, it's Skeety. It's Hickman. I love this book so much, even if sometimes I don't know what's going on in it 100%, because it's like I clearly need to just have this all together.
Yes.
But Gods was an incredible entry, and it's really helping because again, I'm reading Doctor Strange by McKay and I am enjoying it, but I'm missing a little something, and Gods is filling that for me. 100%. Loved Gods. I know a lot of people were like a little cool on Hickman post because this came
post
out
Krakoa,
Well, I was going to say
Invasion.
Post Invasion, and I think that suffered that first issue a little bit because people were like, "Well, I did not like Invasion." And that's totally fair. It was completely different source material there. And Gods was just yes, 100%. I love Skeety's work.
Right.
Skeety was the one that came up with that amazing Abigail Brand design.
Yes.
Which is like, just that's my headcanon now.
Right. That's her suit. Yeah.
Yeah. As far as like artists for me, again, I'm gonna like, yeah, Skeety's incredible. So glad Capuccio got to finish out his Moon Knight run. Just been so many amazing artists, but again, the Hexagon Bridge, Richard Blake, just bringing a very distinct style. It's something that's really stuck with me.
Yeah.
And like if your art gets in my brain like that, there's something there, right? Yeah. Like I just feel like a connection to it for sure.
Definitely.
Did I actually take I said it was 9. I think it is X-Men 9. The Legion of X was like one of my favorite issues this year, along with Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, it just hit right.
Exactly.
For me. Some books that I definitely am like, I got to get to, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got to catch up on. Bone Orchard.
Yes.
I have to. There's so much Bone Orchard, and I really like am interested in it. I've read some of it. There's just so much I have to get there. Birds of Prey, definitely on there. Got to catch up on Phantom Road. I also want to catch up on Indigo Children.
Yeah.
I loved that book, and then I missed an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And Poison Ivy. Yes. I have got to.
Yep.
Catch up on Poison Ivy. I'm so far behind on it. But it's one of those things where I'm like, yes, there's plenty of others, but like, that's like my short list right now.
Fair.
Of like things that came out or not came out, but like things that happened in 2023 that I was like, yeah, I'll be back for you.
Right.
I'm coming back for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then she never did.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any standout issues?
Oh man, it's interesting. There wasn't like, that was the thing. Like there were issues that I thought were really good, but there's nothing that I thought like was, exalted, where I'm like, this is something that really needs to be celebrated. Like this is an issue that really like matters to me, or this is an issue that like there were certainly like issues I was glad I own in physical, but like there was nothing that I needed to have in physical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, also Sam Pear's art.
Of course.
Like just I know we talked about that,
but seeing him like really like go for it with Wonder Woman has been amazing.
So incredible.
Lenny Laserdisc says, before I forget, Merry Christmas to you, Lenny. Dan V900, The Enfield Gang Massacre is a fantastic miniseries, and the 5th issue came out last week. There's 1 issue left, and it's a crime comic that's totally like Scalped, and as that Texas Blood spinoff. Okay, yeah. Sounds fun.
I realize I'm not a big crime person.
No, yeah.
I like to watch crime stuff. I will listen to crime stuff.
Yeah, but I rarely pick up like a crime comic. Like that's why like Ed Brubaker is really lost on me.
But I know it's brilliant.
Exactly. Zoinks loved Immortal X-Men and Sins of Sinister was great.
Immortal.
Okay. Hadn't been that pumped to read an event for a while. Have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah, no, there was something about that. And what I appreciated about them doing that was they created it over in a pocket, and it was a pocket that just the 3 people who were doing it had to deal with it.
Yes.
Like it was just their books. And if you were reading those books, you were probably on board for this, because we were all like, those 3 books were all like on a collision course towards the Sins of Sinister.
Yes, that's true.
Right. And I was like, that is such a brilliant, respectful way to do like an event where you're just like, I'm not, what we're doing here, do this event, right?
Totally.
They're like, we're gonna do this thing over here. It's okay. We already did Gillen's like, I did my big thing.
Right.
Last year.
Yeah. Last year was Axe.
Yeah, I did that there. Let's do this little thing. The 3 of us are gonna work on it together.
Yep.
And just yes.
Right.
Easily one of my favorites.
Infamous Mike Manhattan. My favorites were Sacrificers by Rick Remender and Max Fuamiya, where the body was Where the Body Was by Brubaker and Phillips, Rogue Sun, Radiant Black, and Bone Orchard. Nice.
The cover for Where the Body Was, there's like a trade for it. Like it's great looking.
Yeah. I forgot to mention the alternates. I really enjoyed the alternates from everybody. Jordan Bloom, Tim Seeley, Patton Oswalt. Rivy, much love to you both. Happy holidays, and thank you for all your amazing indulgent content. Thanks, Rivy.
You.
Stupid Sandwich, thanks for your generosity. Just out of curiosity, when can we expect the Nightfall Redux on this channel? Any chance we could see the episode drop between Christmas and New Year's? Absolutely not, and it's not on this channel. But thank you very much for digging on it, man. We will get to Nightfall in 2024 on youtube.com/ComicPop, not here on ComicPop Returns. Reaver B Dumbass, or Dumdus? Sorry. That's Mr. Dumas. Hope you guys have a great 2024. As an artist, I can't thank you guys enough. I'm always watching or listening to you guys. Well, Tron, well, thank you. I'm glad I got your name wrong. I'm sorry about that.
Thank you so much.
Reaver B. Dumdus. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Tinfoil Tyler and
somebody mentioned Jamal Campbell.
Great job on Superman. Amazing stuff. Of course, we all knew that if we were reading Far Sector or if we were tricked into reading Naomi. Tinfoil Tyrant, thank you for your generosity. Hey, Gon, been a while. Hope this finds everyone well. Happy denominational day and a good time. Holiday, yes. And good time for those we have lost. May your bellies be full and your homes warm. Mitch, love, and good tidings.
Well,
you too, Tinfoil Tyrant. Thank you very much. And Happy New Year to you, man.
Yeah.
Jay Sage, disappointed to see I've only been subscribed since February 2016. Thought it'd be longer. Here's to another year of ComicPop.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Glad to have you.
Exactly. Girk Pectus, DC Xmas had Constantine. Scrooging Lex Luthor, a fun combo, but too short. My favorite CB thing overall was the return of DC Golden Age characters finally.
We bought that.
Yes, we did.
We bought that in physical, and I was like, I'm gonna read it, and then
we did
because it was in physical.
I know.
Like sometimes, like I'll read like smaller things like that when I'm at work, and I didn't bring it with me to work. It wouldn't have mattered. I had no time. Maybe I could.
Dante Cook, thanks for your generosity. Hey guys, I'm arriving late, but I wanted to give some love to Outsiders #2. I don't think anyone's paying attention to this at all. This last issue had me laughing and my heart breaking. Aquaman is a genocidal sea monster. Yes, he is. But I'm glad you dug it, man. I have not really heard much in the way of the Outsiders, so I feel like that should probably be championed by somebody. Not necessarily me, because I don't even know anything about it. Jay Sage returns. Thank you very much. The super books were highlights of for me, along with Hulk. I really curated my taste this year to add more street level. Usually a cosmic guy, but you've made me a Philistine. Also loved everything Wade. Yeah, me too, man.
That's awesome. But that's like, this is a great time to go back and check out what you might have bought this year, and then like see like how'd you feel about it? Did you go like, hey, you know what, like I'm pretty pleased. I feel good about it. Or you're like, you know what? I need a little something different. Maybe like something to spice it up a little bit, because that'll also help to make sure that you don't get like too much burnout. It's just trying something new. Exactly. You don't have to stick with it. You could just try it.
Exactly. Cesarac, I discovered y'all this year. Well, welcome to the team, man. Thank you. Since then, you've been my favorite comic channels. Here's the Pox and Pox since the Sins coverage. Loved it ever since. That's nice. That's good to know.
Awesome.
Dante Cook, thanks for generosity. Tiffany, I finally gave Wilson's The Hunger a shot. It was perfect, especially since I'm currently playing a half-orc barbarian in my campaign.
That's awesome. Yay!
Hey, that's fun.
I love it.
Cora Valentine, have a watch later. Got to finish my SM 2009's Omnibus. Well, enjoy. Good luck with all that. Trash Cam, happy holidays to you too and the rest of the ComicPop crew. Thanks for all the great shows this year. Thank you, Trash Cam, for watching. We appreciate it. True believer. If you want a fun read, check out Fiona McCool. Thank you very much for that plug. And it's from Steve and Lily Butler. All right, check that out, folks. It's available on Kickstarter now. And with that, I think we should recommend some comics, right? Unless you have any more.
I mean, like I always have more, but no, I think we're good. I really, like I said, like I wrote down way more than I needed to. And I went through most of it anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
But like I said, it was very eye-opening for me, and I am glad that I like at the end of this year I've gotten more like over to getting some DC books in there. I used to read a lot of DC, and then like I said, like when as books end, then like I more like I need to find something that's in my interest. You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
There are very few characters I'm going to read, like no matter what. Like Doctor Strange, even when he's not my like. There was a few runs that we've covered on this channel. I'm not calling out names right now, but like that I wasn't thrilled with, but I still read them because I was like, I want this book. I want this character. So pretty pleased with my overall look when I looked at the like last year when I looked at the number of number ones that like I picked up. I felt pretty like thrilled with it because a lot of them were things that I stuck with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it wasn't just me trying out random stuff and then it not like, and that's fine too. Like if that's what it was, but like I felt good about my choices where it was like books that I ended up like really enjoying. But yeah, there were quite a few number ones mixed in there, and that was excellent.
I love it.
Like that really made me feel good.
Yeah.
About my choices and also just my desire to try new things.
Yes. Which is important.
Yeah. And like I said, like next year, I think I'm going to try even more so.
Okay. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. Whoops. I was looking at books that I'm like, oh, I should recommend this. And then I saw who was drawing it. And I'm like, nope.
Okay.
Nope, that's out of there.
I didn't even know which
way
one
to hamstrung
was.
somebody.
Okay.
But yeah, as far as books are concerned, things that are coming out this week, though, I think you should check out. Animal Pound #1 is from Tom King and Peter Gross. This is Animal Farm in an animal shelter.
I'm not reading this.
Or a pound, really?
I'm literally not reading.
I'm reading it. I gotta see it. I skipped on We 3 when it launched, and I know I missed something special, but also it would have wrecked me anyway.
Yeah, here's the thing, and here, like, I love horror. As long as that horror or sadness
doesn't happen to an
animal, like, you know, listen, okay, yes and no, because I love like just general horror, and like sometimes that does happen, but when it's like it is like a domesticated, it's an animal, and if it's like too sad, I can't.
Yeah,
I just can't.
Right. No, it's true. Well, Batman Superman World's Finest 22 is coming out. More Kingdom Come and what was it? Boy Thunder Action. It's a great series. I love it. Batman Orph-World #2 is coming out. Yay. We're going to see where that goes. This will be the make or break it. I mean, like, obviously the series is like silly and weird.
Yeah.
We'll see how silly and weird it is.
Okay.
I just sang the praises of Kill Your Darlings. It's issue 4 comes out. Nightwing 109 is dropping, so that's exciting.
Very nice.
And there was a book called The Original X-Men's coming out, but Greg Land's drawing.
Okay, I saw that.
And they had the audacity to put Ryan Stegman drawing the original X-Men on the cover. Like, that was like, yeah, I'll pick that up. Oh, what the?
Is there anything? Because I should have asked this earlier before we started the Rex, and people might have left.
Yes.
What's your number one thing you're looking forward to for 2024 in comics?
Oh, great question.
Is there a book that, like, in particular that you're like?
I don't know. I'm not really like plugged into what people are launching in 2024. You know, I follow
Ultimate Spider-Man.
Ultimate Spider-Man, I think, is the number one book. That has to be, because it's the one book that I know is coming out in 2024 that people are like teasing to me.
Yeah.
But like, you know, as far as like, you know, King hasn't told me anything, and Williamson isn't working on anything that he's told me about, that he's like, oh, I'm doing this. It's gonna be really exciting. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have any inside privileged information, but yeah, but I can't talk about it. It's probably going to actually, I don't think it's going to drop until 2025, but depending on where Warner Brothers and DC is, we'll see.
Okay. For me, it's Hellblazer.
Of course.
Like
new Hellblazer from Psy.
new, but not new.
The continuation. The rest of Hellblazer.
Yeah, it's Aaron Campbell. It's Cy Spurrier. It's everything I could have hoped for. It's very, very rare that you get to see a series like this come back with with
the original team.
Yeah. So I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled for them, and I'm thrilled for all of us who are fans of the first series, and I'm thrilled for those who are going to be finding it for the first time and get to go back and be like, oh, there's more.
Yeah.
People are asking if I saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because of the animal cruelty.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I did, and it destroyed me.
Yeah. It was rough.
Yeah. No, that was hard. That was really, really hard.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. In like a mainstream movie like that.
Yeah, no, I've never had the guts to watch or to read We 3.
No,
I
don't do that.
I could do that. I don't know if I could do that. So for me this week, there's a lot happening. Uncanny Spider-Man #5. Oh, not this week, but next week.
Yeah, this well, no, it's
it's this week. It is this
Wednesday.
Week. Yeah. So, you know, we'll have to talk about this at some point. Everybody. I love this book. This is post
X-Men Blue.
Yeah, like, so hooray. Doctor Strange #10. Yay. God's #3.
Oh, a shout out to Alex Ross doing the covers for all of the Doctor Strange runs.
Yeah. Talk about some spectacular, because like here's the thing. Like, I know I've given Alex Ross a hard time for some of his covers. I think Alex Ross is a brilliant artist. I think sometimes when he's like under the gun, it's not as strong. It's not as strong as it should be. It's not as great as it should be. But his Doctor Strange covers, he clearly has a love.
No, he does.
A love
for
that character.
That he likes that character.
I mean, and how could you not? You know, you got the Ditko influences there. You can really just go like wild. You can really play with the color palette. So yes, I'm loving them. I kind of hope they do. Some comics have done this. I know Vertigo's done it several times where they do like a cover gallery.
Yeah.
Where you can just pick that up as like a really thin trade. I would love that.
I think that's
I would also just love them to just print
those,
because they'll do those.
They print them as posters.
Yeah, but like they'll get like the packs.
Oh yeah,
just all the Doctor Strange ones. I could do like a whole. Yeah, I could do a whole thing.
It'd be great.
Make it happen. Wow, this is a freaking great week for me. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Oh,
you didn't read that one.
What?
You didn't read that one.
I said God's #3.
No, you didn't.
I did.
I said Doctor Strange.
No, and then I said God's. But
okay.
then we went back. God's #3.
Yep.
Coming out. Yes, I love that it's Doctor Strange and Gods because I'm like, I get them back to back.
Yeah.
Because Doctor Strange has featured a bit
Mhm.
in Gods. So, yes, thank you. I like Win. I like Steve.
Mhm.
I got it. Also Wonder Woman #4 coming
Yay.
out. This book, I like it, but it makes me very like it's well written, but I'm like, I get angry at characters. And that's why it's well written.
Yeah.
The Deviant #2 is coming out. I'm telling you, this is a creepy book, and I'm here for it.
Yep.
Just a Christmas horror tale is what it's being touted as, and that's
Mhm.
what it is. And yeah, like I said, it is definitely rated M. So
Oh,
you have
definitely.
been warned. Spine-tingling Spider-Man #3. Hooray. Just what a weird book.
Yeah.
But I'm here for it. Justice League versus Kong versus Godzilla versus Kong #3 is coming out. Maybe Kong will actually be more in this one more.
Yeah, he was not in the last one.
That's okay. I'm really here for Godzilla. Between the two of them, I'm always a Godzilla fan.
I know.
I'm sorry, Kong fans. I'm just more of a Godzilla gal. I don't know what to tell
I think
you.
more people are.
Yeah, but like, we got Justice League crossing over with these guys, and then Batman's crossing over with Santa Claus also. Batman Santa Claus Silent Night #3 is coming out. A book I didn't expect to love as much as I do, and yet here we are.
Right.
And I do. I'm sure there's others, but those are just the ones that Sal kind of grabbed out for me.
It's true.
There, but like, is that not enough?
So you're not entertained?
At least it's on a holiday weekend,
right?
So like, I actually might have some time to read some stuff. Although I'll probably be doing more like holiday things.
Yeah,
but yeah.
If the flooding continues, maybe I'll just drop you off here and just leave you here with just like an internet connection and all the books in the library.
I don't like to be left places.
Just leave you here.
No, it'll become like a liminal space. I don't want that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows? I'll take a look at what else is coming out, and then I might have just other things I want to talk about next week. So anyway, yeah.
But there are more super chatters that I need to get to. So.
No, you don't. No, you do.
Girk Pectus, Poison Ivy sounds great, but I don't want to support another great villain being forced into a hero because of popularity. I hate that trope. Happy holidays. Thank you very much. And Grayfar, thanks for your support. Gonna have to catch the rewatch, but thanks for all the laughs this year. Thanks for the laughs and love you. Thanks, Ray. Thanks for your support over the years. We appreciate you being here, man. And thank you to everybody for being here and supporting us over this past year and over every year that we have existed as a channel or as a channel network. Because this is at least 2 years, I think, now of ComicPop Returns. I'm not sure.
2 or 3?
And learned a lot this year about like what people are interested in, what they're not interested in, and it's been an educational year. Be sure. But we want to thank you for being here, for supporting us. If you want to help us more directly, like the video, subscribe to our channel, and go to patreon.com/ComicPop and check out Tiffany streaming on twitch.tv/ComicPop or on youtube.com/ComicPop Plays. In the comments down below, you can click the links to everything we talk about, and except for the books. I don't have like any residuals for that, so there's no point in bothering. You can just go to your favorite from the local comic book store, go to mycomicshoplocator.com and check out your local comic book store to see if you can get those books. And of course, don't forget to pre-order your books. And we'll see you guys next time with another episode. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
So long, everybody. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.